Yo everyone, it's Feign, and today we're going to talk about Moriarty the Patriot. And okay, look guys, I slightly clickbaited you with the title. I wouldn't say Moriarty is underrated, but more underwatched. So I thought fuck it, I'll make a review on it. And Moriarty really has something for everyone. If you like hot guys, it has hot guys. If you like psychological thrillers and mystery, it's got a bit of that. If you like people getting killed, it's got a bit of that too. So let's talk about it. And by the way, this video isn't going to have any major spoilers for the story, so you don't have to worry about that either. Let's begin with what it's actually about and talk a little bit about the story. So in a typical Sherlock Holmes story, you would follow Sherlock as he tries to play 5D chess against Moriarty and be the good guy. But here you follow the villains. We follow Moriarty and co as they basically wreak havoc across 19th century London and manipulate people to try and get to the top of the food chain. They're basically anti-heroes. They're trying to flip over the class system that keeps the poor being poor and the rich being rich and reform it in a pretty unorthodox way. And so if you are somehow unfamiliar with Sherlock Holmes, at its core it's a crime mystery series. Now this series, at least for the first season, is episodic in nature. Now me personally, I cannot really stand episodic anime. It normally bores the living shit out of me, so you know if I say I enjoyed Moriarty, even with it being episodic, you know it's got to be pretty good. I think it keeps you interested because although each episode and each case is different, it introduces new characters who actually come back to be important later on, and still has this overarching story to connect the episodes so it doesn't feel too disconnected from one another. And this means the pacing feels very good throughout as well, because there isn't random fact drop cliffhangers at the end of each episode, well at least for the most part. So the overall story feels present. You know Moriarty and the gang are working towards their goal. It's just kind of gently pushing you into it. And I can't lie, seeing how they orchestrate these murders each episode is pretty interesting to watch, and it also makes me feel stupid as fuck, because my brain is in 6th gear trying to solve the murder and I just can't do it. So when it finally gets solved, I get a sort of euphoric feeling at the end of each episode. In terms of conflict and tension, the stakes don't actually feel that high at the beginning because it's pretty much shoved in our face that Moriarty is a 200 IQ anime warlord. So I would treat the first few episodes more as a mystery so you can get to see these guys in action and understand their motives a bit better, and as the story begins to progress and we're introduced to characters like Sherlock, the tension actually begins to creep in, especially by season 2. Speaking of Sherlock, I can't help but laugh at anime Sherlock Holmes. I don't know why, but the concept itself just seems so wild to me. But he's actually been a really enjoyable character to have on screen for the most part, especially because it's healthy competition for Moriarty, so we get to see a bit more tension surrounding him finally. The only time he gets on my nerves is when he's constantly a dick to people, which I get is his persona in the anime, but it still kind of grinds on me sometimes. I was also kind of sad that a couple characters I thought were going to be treated more like protagonists, like Albert and Louis, are kind of pushed to the side, but I suppose that's down to the nature of the show and the structure they've set up for the story, so going forward they might have a bigger part to play. Really though, the characters are always enjoyable to see on screen and are pretty charismatic in their own way, and I ain't gay, but these guys got me feeling like I'm about to act up, you know, like I'm about to do something unruly, if you know what I'm saying. Oh, also there's a gender bending James Bond in season 2, so yeah. My one gripe with the show so far that some people might really hate me for is that I feel like it's kind of shallow. Don't get me wrong, it's a fucking blast to watch and I love it, but other than the whole rich versus poor thing, it doesn't feel very deep, and it doesn't feel like we've actually got a lot of characterization yet, in my opinion. It almost actually feels like a guilty pleasure type show for me, but I do think that is mainly because of the episodic factor, and going into season 2 it does feel a lot more like it's going away from that and coming into a major plotline, so I may end up eating my words. Now that I've ran my mouth about the characters and the story, let me talk about the music just for a little bit. They lean sort of heavily on these epic classical scores, which I think suits the show really well because Moriarty is this criminal mastermind pulling the strings behind the scenes, and the music reflects this beautifully. I'm not going to play it though because I don't want to get spanked by copyright. Openings and endings are also really good. They're actually something I thought was shit at first, but they grew on me over time and now I'm a pretty big fan of them. But moving on to the verdict, if you somehow managed to make it this far into the video, give yourself a pat on the back because I'm pretty boring. And personally, I would give Moriarty a solid 8. Some people are comparing it to Death Note, but I don't think it comes that close at the moment, nor is it a personal story like between Elle and Light. At the moment it's more of a grand plot, but I think it's worth a watch and I hope my review helped you come to a decision about it at least. Subscribe if you enjoyed, like if you liked, drink some water and take it easy. Peace.